this? What does that mean for you? What are your hopes for yourself and your community? And also, I just want to have a reminder that sometimes resilience does look like just taking a break and honestly relaxing, because the work that we do is incredibly tiring. And so sometimes we really do need to take a step back and really take care of ourselves. And just a reminder that we need you in the community and our revolution, so please make sure to take care of yourself. And some other questions: what does pleasure look like for you, and how can we bring this love to the work of organizing and advocacy? So I'm gonna give us 10 minutes for all of us to just, write down some of our responses to these questions and really take this time just for self-reflect. But yeah, I will bring you all back around 5:49. But yeah. I'm going to put some lo-fi music in the background while we do that. Okay. Tell me if y'all heard the music.
Really? It felt higher than that. You're an airbender.
Sure am. Giant light beams, flying bison, airbenders. I think I got midnight sun madness. I'm going home to where stuff makes sense.
Hi everybody, so I hope you all took the time to just honestly self-reflect and ground yourself and really just share out your thoughts and your opinions to yourself. So moving on from that, we're going to be introducing our speaker for today from Californians for Justice, where they're going to be presenting on allyship and youth power. So Netta, you can take it away.
Thank you. Can everybody hear me first? Do like a thumbs up if you can. Awesome. Cool. So first of all, thank you for inviting me. I am like super honored and I'm really excited to talk to y'all about Californians for Justice and what we do and how it relates to allyship and youth power. So feel free to take it to the next slide, whomever is in charge of. Just like a general idea, I'm gonna talk a little bit about CFJ. We're gonna do an activity, which I will not say too much about yet. And then talk a little bit about like what we do and again, like how that relates to allyship and what we do to support youth power essentially. So next slide, please. Californians for Justice is a statewide youth-led organization. We do have offices in Oakland, San Jose, Fresno, and Long Beach where we do organizing. Essentially the bulk of what we do is support the leadership development for youth so that y'all can take on campaigns around educational and racial justice. And so in the San Jose region specifically, we do work primarily almost completely in East San Jose and specifically in the Eastside Union High School District to advance educational justice and address problems of like racism and lack of funding in the education system and in the district by supporting like youth leaders in pushing their demands and being part of like creating and deciding like what schools and what their districts should look like and what the schools and districts should be funding within like the districts and schools. So that's kind of like a really brief overdue, that's not a word, brief explanation of what we do. And so before I really like get into the bulk of what exactly it is that we do and like how we do what we do, I wanted to ask y'all to participate in an activity. So if we could go to the next slide. This is an activity that will kind of help y'all get grounded in like how we support youth power. And so if whoever has like breakout powers could just get ready to break everyone out into pairs. What I want y'all to do is spend 8 minutes with your partner, who will probably be randomly selected, just imagining what you would want your school to look like if you had the opportunity to just completely build it from scratch. So don't worry about money. Imagine that there are no restrictions around money. Like, what would the school of your dreams look like? What kind of teachers are there? How many teachers are in, or how many students are in a class with each teacher? Are parents and families involved in the school at all? What does learning look like? How do teachers and students interact? What kind of relationships are there? How much money is put into what? I mean, not how much money, but like what kind of things get funded? What does the school look like visually? What does it feel like? So you will have 8 minutes with your group member to either write this down or talk it through. There are a lot of y'all, so nobody's gonna be forced to share back when we come back, but you'll be welcome to that. We do have some time for that. But the purpose of the activity is just to see how much and how creative y'all are, and how that, and then I'll talk later about what that has to do with youth power. But yeah, if Homesteader could break people out. Oh, and I can send instructions in the chat before you do, so that in case you forget.
Hi, there's no other person.
Yeah, I'm adding people into the groups right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no worries. Let me. I don't. Okay, there you go.
Hi. Hi. Sorry, I'm moving right now.
What was that?
I was just moving seats right now, in
Oh,
my
okay,
room.
that's fine. I was pulling up the picture of the activity because I kind of I want to make sure I remembered what to talk about. Okay. I kind of had when I first saw the activity instructions, I kind of saw an idea for the name. I don't know the exact name that it would have, but I feel like maybe after a positive social figure would be pretty cool to see a school named after.
Hi, you don't have anyone else in your group, correct?
No, I don't. I
Okay.
by myself.
It's okay. We'll put you in a group right now. Give me 1 second. 12. 2.
So one of the things that my partner and I talked about was having a school produce all of its own food, which would be really cool. Having its own garden where it could make all of the food that the kids eat, and also integrated into like the curriculum, I guess, that like you make food for yourself, you take care of yourself, you know, things like that. And also like another thing that we were talking about a lot is like how schools deal with like students with disabilities. Like, because I have an experience with a cousin where he has very high functioning autism, and he like, they literally didn't even let him know that they were college options for him, like that you can go to college with autism. Like they just were just like, oh yeah, you can apply. Like his counselor told him that. And it's like with that, like really changing how schools deal with students with disability. Also the way that they get segregated from like the rest of the students. And I feel like they should be integrated way earlier on, so like kids can learn about like different types of people. And so that's what we talked about a lot. And also with names, we talked about like naming them after like figures that are really positive and not just like prestigious and like local. And another thing that we talked about is like naming things after like Native American leaders, because like it's so like nothing in like California is like everything's named after like some Spanish like slave master, and it's sort of like depressing. And so yeah, I feel like that's something that should be like thought about a lot.
Thank you so much. I love all of your ideas. Absolutely. I'm gonna give you like a little clappy emoji reaction because yes, I loved all of that. Thank you so much for sharing. Yes, and like real clapping. I know there were some other people, I think, was it Daniela, who wanted to share?
Yeah. So my partner and I were talking about how school's like already stressful enough for students, and we were thinking of like implementing a panic room or a sort of safe room for students to go to, like if let's say they're overly stressed out with their classes or if they have things going on at home, and to also have more counselors at the schools, because a lot of students do depend on counselors to help them through things through school if they're having issues. And I know that a lot of students also really feel scared or anxious, because a lot of students with anxiety or presumably get super scared whenever there's cops on the school grounds, and we don't want any cops at the school, because not only will kids with anxiety have their anxiety skyrocket, but it's also gonna just cause panic for no reason, like no reason at all, because I don't see why students should be looked over like we're at a prison, because that's how a lot, because I personally at my school, we have cops there sometimes and we all feel like we're being watched over like we're criminals, and it shouldn't feel like that, because school is a place to learn and school is a place to grow, not feel like you're sitting in a prison being watched over. Yeah, that's like the main part of what we talked about.
I am in love with all of these ideas and like snaps, and yes to everything you said. Absolutely. Thank you. Is there anyone else?
I would like to go. I honestly have a lot of critiques for our education system. Our education system in America is horrible, to put it bluntly. But kind of adding on to what previous folks have said, I think it is really important to stop criminalizing, criminalizing our students. And basically something that like my school would have is basically like more counselors, not cops. That's been going around, like we need more counselors to adhere to students' needs. We also need to stop having like military recruitments on campus, and that's something that I personally wouldn't have on my imaginary school. My school would be called Raíces, because obviously these kids are the roots to our future. They grow, that's what school is about. And I also think that it's very important for us to integrate our community. So any teacher, any educator that is teaching that certain community has to be from that certain community. A lot of the time with their like public education system, like a lot of our educators, first of all, they're not like us. They do not look like us. They're predominantly white women. They do not look like us, speak our same language. And they also do not know the struggles that we face. So anybody that were to teach at my school has to be from that community, understand that community. And another thing is basically reducing class sizes, 12-to-1 ratio. That is basically what should be happening in the United States. And there should also be talking a little bit like about economics. We need to stop allowing like redlining and everything still, because that's, our schools are still segregated. Segregation still exists within our education system. And that's the problem with our society and our education in America, because like certain students are getting super high level and like super amazing education and other students aren't. And sometimes it's based on like where you live, literally on your zip code. So we need to also check those people, because yeah, we need to start, giving resources to our people. And again, making sure that people are from our community, for our community. And because that's just the way it gotta go. And they also have to speak like the languages that people like speak there, because that's another thing, language barriers. And we need to adhere and like, make sure that everything is like good with that. But yeah, I'm gonna stop because yeah.
I don't even know what to say. I feel like y'all can just get up here and give this presentation for me. But yes, like literally everything you said, absolutely agree. Actually, I mean, you can't tell, but I'm actually wearing a shirt that says "Schools Not Prisons," just FYI. So yeah, y'all are like completely on theme. So, I am going to, I try. I'm going to ask, I think, Christina to reshare. Yes, oh my God, you're so prepared. Thank you. So, wait, go back to the other side. Yes, thank you. So the reason I wanted y'all to like imagine with your buddy or your partner what schools could look like and should look like is, I mean, because y'all are brilliant, but also because as this like primary stakeholders in the education system, youth are the ones that should be giving input in designing the education system. Y'all are the ones who are in those classrooms. You know what happens. You're the ones who like know and see like and have experiences around like what it's like to interact with certain teachers, what it's like to like be primarily students of color in teachers, in classrooms where the teachers are primarily white women and not from your community. And like Heather talked about like her or their experience with their cousin who like counselors said some, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to swear, some really ableist shit stuff to them about not being able to apply to college. So that's like y'all know, y'all are the experts. And so thank you for sharing. And again, the reason I wanted to hear from y'all is because like the way that Californians for Justice operates is we believe that as the primary stakeholders in your education and in your communities, in your learning communities, youth should be the ones making these decisions and like designing these processes. And what that has to do with our work and our campaigns is essentially that we see ourselves and our role as like adults working at this organization as allies to y'all to actually take the visions that you create and use our privilege as adults to make them happen. And so the next slide, which Christina, you can go to now, is going to talk a little bit about some of the campaigns that we have and that we take on. So I heard y'all talking about counselors, not cops. I heard y'all talking about like schools, not prisons. We are on the same page about that. Something that, and this isn't on this slide, but I think I'd like to mention it. A campaign that we had last year in the East Side Union High School District was around like budget cuts that were happening. And there was like a over $20 million threat or budget cut threat where the district was going to completely eliminate all counselors, all advisors, all librarians, like half of the custodial staff, like the library technicians, like so many different positions. It was like 200 or 300 positions. And like it was youth power and youth voice and hours of youth testimony around like the importance of counselors, the importance of advisors, the importance of teachers that essentially push the district to actually Well, first they voted to approve the layoffs, and then 3 weeks later they changed their mind and rescinded all the layoffs. So that was one of the campaigns we took on last year, and it was that youth power and that youth voice and the pressure from youth that made them change their minds, and like rescind all the layoffs. And so that's just, you know, one of the things that we work on. Another thing that we did more recently was actually, I don't know if y'all heard, but Eastside Union High School District recently achieved police-free schools. I'm gonna give a shout out to Christina and Daniela. I don't know if this is the same. Daniela from CFJ was also part of that, but we achieved police-free school. Hey, Daniela. Yes, Christina and Daniela were part of that. Part of campaigning the superintendent to put this on, to pressure this to be on the, what's it called? The district board meeting agenda. And then like so many students got on the call and like spent hours talking about why police don't make students feel safe. And so we finally achieved police-free schools. But what this means moving into this next year is that there still needs to be accountability to make sure that the district board actually takes student and parent and community feedback in what school safety looks like without cops, right? We don't want the district board members, of which there are like 5 or 6, to just make these decisions without community input. Another campaign we have going is our relationship-centered schools and student voice campaign, stressing the importance of putting funding into elevating student voice, more trainings for staff, more trainings for teachers, like implicit bias training, like social emotional training. We want to address like the fact that yes, there are racist teachers in our schools, and essentially creating space for relationships to be built between adults and students on campus, so that students aren't just like anonymous clients that go through the school system and don't ever interact with an adult that actually cares about them and supports them. And one of our biggest campaigns currently is the Schools and Communities First campaign, which is essentially a proposition that's going to be on the ballot this November that would reclaim $12 billion in funding, tax funding for our schools and our local services in our cities by making corporations pay their fair share of property taxes. This is going to be huge because this could really solve a lot of the budget issues that a lot of our districts are facing, that are forcing districts to essentially try to lay off counselors and librarians and advisors. So why am I telling you about all of these campaigns? First, because I'm plugging CFJ, but also because all of our campaigns are student run and student focused, right? So we have a number of ways in which that happens. Within our base, we make sure that students are part of different opportunities to meet with district members, to meet with board members, to meet with the superintendent, to push their visions for schools. We make sure that we as organizers have meetings with the students in our base to learn about what their priorities are for what they want to see in their schools. And we make sure also that we have, I mentioned that we're a statewide organization, so we have a statewide strategy team that is composed of students from each of our regions, and they get to make big decisions on our campaigns. So it's a statewide strategy team, for example, that took on Schools and Communities First, and that is going to be leading us on the path to hopefully victory in November. And it was like the Designing School Safety and Police-Free Schools campaign, like I said, was completely student created, right? Christina and Daniela and like a few other students from Eastside were the ones who like came up with a bunch of demands and pushed them to superintendent. And so you can go to the next slide. Thank you. So I know I'm a little over time, so I'm gonna wrap it up quickly. What does that have to do with allyship? So I talked about the importance of youth power in like actually achieving campaign demands. And I briefly mentioned that, you know, as an adult working at this organization, this youth-led organization, my role is to use the power and privilege that I have as an adult someone who is more likely to be taken seriously in meetings, unfortunately, with like decision makers, someone who, you know, gets to do this on a full-time level, and you know, this is my job. I have like the capacity to take this on, so I can use all of that privilege to actually listen to what y'all are saying, what other students are saying about your priorities for what you want your schools to look like, and then actually put that into action and leverage that privilege and that funding that we get as an organization to do that. And so that is me talking a little bit about what my role as an adult ally is. It takes the form of like, you know, what my job looks like, but also takes place in like little moments in a meeting with like a bunch of like board members at the district. It's like make or break decisions about like, do I step back to make sure that youth can be the ones to speak up? Or sometimes there are a lot of really brilliant students with the most amazing ideas, but they don't feel comfortable speaking up in a room full of adults. And so then it's my job to speak, to take what they're saying and say it out loud if they're not comfortable doing that. So I actually wanted to ask y'all, what does allyship look like to you? And what do you look for in an adult who calls themselves your ally? So you can like send your answers in the chat. You can also just like, you know, say them out loud. I'll just listen.
Can I say it out loud?
Yes, please go ahead.
So to me, allyship is when an individual or a group of people they see others people's issues that are not necessarily their issues, but they sympathize with them, and they um they see those issues, and so they want to I'm not sure if eradicate is the correct use, but essentially what they want to do is they want to liberate those individuals that are being oppressed from those issues, even though they have no connection to them.
Yeah, I couldn't have put it better myself. Thank you. I'm gonna read some of the ones in the chat out loud. I see an honest adult that is willing to find the answer even when they might not know it right away. Putting the youth in the center as leaders. Oh, yes. Allyship to me means to stand against the oppressor and fight for what is morally right, even if it may not be legally right. Okay, like snaps for that one. Acknowledging that we have privilege and using it for good. Allyship is empathizing with members of a specific group in order to help that oppressed group. It's also realizing your privilege and using that privilege to help the cause. Yes. Using their power and authority to uplift the voices of the most directly impacted. An adult or group of open-minded people willing to help a cause that they may not be connected through, but using everything in their power to help the underdog and rise up together. Sacrifice. I think that an adult ally would be someone who does not immediately say something is going to be difficult or challenging, but rather asking how they can uplift youth ideas and voices. Thank you all so much. Are there any like final thoughts about allyship that anyone wants to share out loud? Oh, I see some more coming in. Allyship is supporting a community or a person in need, whether it affects them or not. It also means learning or unlearning certain things and educating yourself about the issue and your privilege. It's also using your privilege to help uplift their voices and listen to them. Allyship to me is fighting for change, whether or not you're being directly affected by the issue. Allyship to me is standing in solidarity with a person or group to conquer barriers or injustices. An ally to me would be down for the cause, so down that they would risk their lives for the cause. Yeah. Any final thoughts on allyship? Okay. Well, Christina, could you go to the next slide, which is also the last slide? Um, this is just me posing it up for any questions. So while you think of any, if you have any, I just wanted to say thank you so much for having me on and letting me present, but honestly, more importantly, letting me listen and like learn from y'all and hear your thoughts on what an ally is and hear everything that you dream about, like what you want your schools to look like. Honestly, it's like really an honor, truly. I put my contact info on there in case anybody wants to like screenshot their screen or take a picture if you're interested in like learning more about what we do, how to get involved in some of the campaigns I talked about, or if you have any questions for me. You can also definitely always reach me through Daniela or Christina, who both have my number.
I have a quick question
Yeah.
for you, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for joining us today. But I just wanted to ask, what would you say was like your most, whether it be your proudest or most exciting moment, doing this?
Mm. Okay, I think I didn't talk about this, but I think one of my proudest moments was being involved in the May Day coalition in May 29th, or planning for May Day in 2019, and like bringing hella students from our base into that, and like seeing so many of the youth that I work with and learn from, like stand up and give speeches to like hundreds of people about their schools and their communities and their experiences with racism and immigration and all of this stuff. And knowing that some of those very youth were ones who were like super shy and like hated public speaking, and just feeling like so proud of like the growth that they'd done and feeling like in whatever small way that I helped contribute to that, I had like done something worthwhile. Oh, thanks for asking that. But yeah,
Thank you.
If that is all, then I will leave y'all to continue your agenda. And thank you again.
Thank you so much, Netta, for especially speaking about allyship and youth power. I am so grateful to be able to work with you and have you take up this space and really educate us about your journey in activism and a little bit more about what CUJ does. Thank you so much. Okay, so this is a perfect segue for a break. So we're gonna take a 5-minute break to go get water, go get that bathroom break, and honestly just relax because that was a lot to process. And I know we all need to get a step back and like take care of ourselves. So I'll see y'all at 6:33 p.m. Okay. Okay, so now's the time to regroup back and continue our session. Okay. Can I get a thumbs up from people if they're back? Just so I know. Perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, perfect. Let me screen share a slideshow. So we're going to be moving on to our closing activity. And next, so we're going to be doing a social change role activity. So in our lives and as parts of movements and organizations, many of us play different roles in the pursuit of equity, shared liberation, inclusion, and overall justice. But I have to admit, we often get lost and confused, or we're newcomers on ongoing social change efforts and don't know where to start or catalyze into action in the midst of a crisis in our community. So I wanted to show you all this framework that can help individuals, networks, organizations really get in relationship with their social change in values, individual roles, and the broader ecosystem. So in this role activity, as you can see, there's two diagrams. One is showing social change ecosystems and different roles that play into social movements, like weavers, where you see connectivity between people, places, or organizations, experimenters, frontline responders, visionaries, builders, caregivers, and so forth. So I really want you to locate yourself on this map and really reflect on this. So we're gonna give you 10 minutes to just journal, self-reflect, and write this down on paper. What roles do you feel comfortable and natural? What roles do you feel comfortable playing and why? And also, what roles make you come alive and also why? Right, really self-reflecting on what role do you play in the social justice movement and what skills can you bring to the movement. So I'm going to give everybody 10 minutes to self-reflect, and while you do that, I'm going to be playing some music. And then after we come back, I'm going to give us 5 minutes to just share out on what roles you all feel comfortable playing and what roles fit you. Okay, perfect.
Real quick, on the syllabus at the bottom, I went ahead and added the images. So in case you need to reference back to them, you can just go to the syllabus. I'll put the link in chat again as well.
Yes, actually, give me a moment. I will actually put a link.
Oh, just a link to the actual thing? Oh, okay,
yeah,
perfect.
the link to the actual thing. Thank you so much, Nico, for bringing that up.
Yeah, no worries.
All right, perfect. I'm going to Zoom share.
You sound like my nephew, always thinking you need to do things on your own without anyone's support. There is nothing wrong with letting people who love you help you. Not that I love you, I just met you.
So, where is your nephew?
I've been tracking him, actually.
Is he lost?
nephew. Always thinking you need to do things on your own without anyone's support. There is nothing wrong with letting people who love you help you. Not that I love you. I just met you.
So, where is your nephew?
I've been tracking him, actually. His life has recently changed and is going through very difficult times. He's trying to figure out who he is, and he went away.
So, now you're following him.
I know he doesn't want me around right now, but if he needs me, I'll be there.
Hi everybody, so we're gonna regroup back. Okay, so the next slide. We're gonna take these couple of minutes for anybody to share out, feel comfortable to share out through speaking or through dropping in the chat, but honestly answering what roles you feel comfortable playing, what role makes you feel alive, and how did you feel doing this activity? So does anybody want to share out their thoughts?
I can go. Sorry. Okay, so I said one of the roles that I felt most natural playing was definitely like the builder, who like develops things and sort of like puts them in action, because I think like at my core I'm definitely a planner. So I like to do things like meticulously. I plan things, and I'm pretty good at like communicating with others to like make sure that everything is planned accordingly or as best as it can be. And I think that that's really valuable and satisfying for me, because I really get to see like how things come into or like how they shape together, especially like movements or whatever it is, in terms of like creating justice or calling for justice. And I don't know, it's just really rewarding is the word I was looking for. because it's almost like seeing like a small thing kind of become bigger and sort of like snowball to something amazing. And so that's why it's kind of like satisfying for me.
Thank you so much for sharing, Jacqueline. Does anybody else want to share?
I just want to say that like the roles, I think there's like a lot of kind of overlapping between them, and so I definitely found myself in a lot of them. But I think ones that stood out to me the most were weavers, visionaries, and builders, because I think that just goes hand in hand on how much I value intersectionality and seeing how a coalition of people have a lot of power, and together you are capable of catalyzing so much change and making progress in whatever you're passionate about or whatever you believe in. And I'm really like organizing within my own community. It's something that I feel like with the support of others, I've been able to do. And I kind of want to give that support to other people as well, in a way, and continue building and improving faults that we see in our community.
Yeah, thank you for bringing it up. I think especially with these roles, like you don't have to conform yourself to one. There's definitely overlap and there's definitely flexibility in all these roles. Does anybody else want to share out?
I could.
Okay, go ahead, hon.
Yeah, I am such a big disruptor energy. Like in middle school, we had this thing. Basically, my history teacher went on a rant about like how like kneeling for the flag is like disrespectful and stuff like that. And so I kneeled for the flag like every single day for the rest of the year. Like I'm big like I don't. It's not always like it doesn't always do the best for me, but I feel the most good or happy with like the things around me when I don't let things like pass me by. It probably would have been more productive to like written something or working with a team to like get this done, but like me kneeling got everyone to talk about it, you know? So like that's sort of cool. It's I don't know, it's interesting when I like think about it, like of like what other like types of energy I should like add to me as like not just a disruptor. Or like what was the other one, like performer? I don't know, the performer one, like yelling out, theater, not theater anymore, but like speech energy, that too. So that's me.
Sorry, my internet went unstable, but I want to affirm you that like being a disruptor isn't a bad thing. I feel like being a disruptor is we need those people to be unafraid to speak their truth and be unafraid to honestly stand up and speak against like people of power. I think that's so important. And Nia said, in social movements, I tend to just listen and absorb all the information from my peers who are informed because I always find it interesting to hear about everything that other people know. Yeah, I feel like just getting that response, I feel like you're a healer. Like you open yourself up, you open your heart to other people to really listen and absorb. Definitely. Does one more person want to share before we move on?
I can share.
Yeah.
So I would say that I'm a mix of both a disruptor and a healer. I feel like it's so important to build that people power from the grassroots level. And I like look up to organizers a lot, community organizers, especially with those with the tactics of, you know, who are very confrontational, you know, like the ones who like to go to like a council member's house and like bring like a party of people and like cheer. And courage is something that I look up to, and that type of disruption is, I think it takes a lot of courage to do, and something that I hope I'll have that same courage to do as well. And I would say, I mean, yeah, I could definitely relate to what was previously said. Like I was the president of a women's rights club at my CC. Like I almost started a protest like at a program, which like again like that for that to happen, you need like what was previously mentioned, you need like a group of people, and that was something that
I realized I was like, okay, I'm more of the type of person to do like protests and like organize and things like that. But I would also say that I'm a healer because I like to listen to people, and I also recognize the traumas that can be passed down from generations. And I'm definitely into psychology and things like that. So I mean, I was thinking to be like both a therapist and an organizer. So that's how like the two kind of like, I feel like feel like I'm in the most way to help people.
Thank you so much, Jocelyn, for sharing, and for everybody for honestly just self-reflecting. And like I said, like each and every one of us embodies this role in some aspect, and each of us have different capacities to give to the social justice movement. So thank you all so much for just honestly taking the time to share out and really journal your thoughts. Okay. Oh, actually, Betsy said something. Oh, Betsy says I'm pretty shy, but I somehow tend to call people out too. Oh well. Yes, definitely. We need disruptors in this movement to really push for the norm and really spread awareness. Oh, it's totally okay to be shy and just say in the chat. But you all are amazing. Okay, let's move on to your presentation. So next up, I'm gonna pass it to Nico and Vanessa to facilitate this.
Hey everyone. It's great to see everyone. Decided to give you all a break from hearing me talk for 2 hours at a time. It can get quite long, right? So yeah, so I just wanted to go over the final project a little bit more. I know some of you had questions even in the chat, and I know I received a couple of emails about it. So yeah, so I just want to reiterate some things. First of all, I don't want anyone like, stressing out too much about it. We made it pretty vague and pretty short on purpose because we know a lot of people are going back to school. We don't want anyone again stressing out over this. That being said, I do have some reminders. I'm saying topics should tie to immigrant rights somehow. That doesn't mean that your topic has to 100% be on immigrant rights. I know from some of the people who submitted, there was one on like voter suppression, right? And the whole mail-in situation. What I talk about is like, well, an example for that would be, maybe one of your Instagram story highlights, pages or whatever says, if you can't vote because you're not a citizen or because you're an immigrant or XYZ, here's the ways that you can be involved, right? You can fill out the census, you can help others get registered to vote, you know what I mean? So you tie it back to immigrants somehow. That doesn't mean that your main topic is immigrant rights, right? So yeah, so it'd be great for you to tie back to that as Siren, is an immigrant rights organization. Ideally, you should fill out the final project form by tonight at 8 p.m. I put it at 8 p.m. because that's right after our session. If for whatever reason you can't find a group or whatever it is, please go ahead, shoot me a message or shoot us an email. We do have a couple of people, I'm sure a couple of people are also not going to have a group, and we'll be able to kind of put you all together. We do want you to pick your own group simply because we want you to work on something that you're interested in, right? It always makes things more exciting and a lot easier. But yeah, definitely let us know if you can't find a group. We're going to give you some time right now to find a group. For those of you who have already submitted your groups, I actually made it so you'll be with your groups, so you can discuss it a little bit more. Yeah, so I see that Alondra, yeah. So if you haven't filled out a group or filled out a form but have a group, send it to me in the chat and I'll try to move things around so you can be in a group. Okay? But yeah, and then something I want to add is that you can make your content bilingual. This is new. I just added it because we have something super, super exciting that's going to come. I'm not going to say what it is yet. I haven't even told Christina because this was like really, really like new. But it's really exciting. So again, if you speak another language, someone on your team speaks another language, and you're interested in doing so, you can either make it, like two versions, right? Like you can do an English-Spanish version, or you can do one that is both together, right? Again, have fun with this. It's not meant to be super stressful. But did anyone have any questions right now before we go into the breakout rooms?
I was gonna ask, what's the maximum minimum for people in the group?
Yeah, so it should be around 2 to 4.
I do. I asked in the chat earlier that I didn't have a group. So right now, will I be just like assigned a group?
So if you're in a group, we're gonna try to put you in a group. I see that some people just send me messages. If you're not in a group, I'm gonna just randomly put you in a group. You don't have to be in a group with the people we put you with, but if you want to be, that's totally fine. I know some groups were formed that way. But again, if you find someone in the group that's maybe working on something you're interested in, it'd be great for you to partner up. Any other questions?
So how would we go about like giving you the Instagram highlights? Like if we were to do that, like would
Yeah.
we give you our Instagrams or would we like
So
screenshot it and email it?
yeah, so I think it's on the syllabus. If not, I'll double check to make sure it's there. But pretty much, I sent whoever was in what was it like 2 sessions ago. I sent that email with like tons of links. Um, what's it called? Or like I included a link to Canva. So in case you don't want to share your Instagram with us, or in case maybe you don't want to post it to your Instagram just yet, whatever it may be, you can create those there, and then you can just send us those files. You can screenshot it. You can like I would say screenshot it, just because if you screen record, it's hard for us to stop at each one and read and stuff. Or if it's on your Instagram, you can share it that way. Although if you can just send it to us in the form of screenshots or in files, that'd be much easier. Especially when you're doing presentations and stuff. That may be easier for you to organize yourself as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for sending it, Christina. Don't scramble to fill out the form right now. Let's focus on this part right now. But if let's say you haven't filled it out and I put you in your groups right now, maybe that's something that you want to do while you're in your group. Any other questions before we get into the breakout groups? Yeah, I'll try to figure out the groups right now. Sorry. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead, open the rooms. Okay.
I accidentally clicked later for my breakout group.
Okay, let me.
Jasmine, you can go to join breakout room on the bottom.
I was put in the wrong breakout room.
Are you in a team, Daniela?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm with.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
You
add,
got the.
Yeah, I'm trying to put everyone in their teams right now. Sorry. So 4. If you all want to join whatever breakout room we're put in for now, while I figure it out like that, you can what's it called? Be talking or discussing it. Okay, Roger. Sorry, I'm gonna redo the breakout rooms because it looks like a lot more people were in groups than I thought. So I'm gonna recreate them all. This is this is a time while we wait for everyone to join so we can recreate the breakout groups. If you're looking for a partner or a group, you may want to broadcast that right now while we're setting this up. So does anyone have any questions or feedback while we're doing this?
Yeah, so right now that I was in my breakout room, I talked to the 3 people that I was in there with, and we just decided to just form our group. I'm sending them a message privately of my email. That way we could all just get in contact, or would it be easier for you to just put us all in a group? Because I have all our names and stuff.
Yeah, do you want to tell me your group right now?
Yeah, so it will be Elizabeth Rocha Zuniga, Alejandra Magalone.
Is that Alejandra S?
No, Alejandra M.
I don't see that person on here.
It's Allah. Yeah.
We should probably go through Instagram.
Did you have anyone else in your group?
Yeah, and then Jessica Ramos and Hector Rodriguez.
Jessica, okay, cool. Does someone else want to tell me their group? I think that's easier than me looking through the chat because there's a lot.
Mia and I were talking. I'm not sure exactly who.
I think I got your group with Daniela.
Okay, yeah, and I think also Mahader. I'm sorry if I butchered that. Mia mentioned that she also contacted her. So
nice. Does anyone else want to share their group with me? I already got
Honey.
Jocelyn and Jai.
Okay, never mind.
Real quick, do we still have to fill out the form if we share our group with you?
Yeah, you should still fill out the form. This is just so we can give you the time to speak. I was basing it off the form, but a lot more of you have formed groups than I had on the form.
I'm good.
Thomas, Jennifer, Daniela. Does anyone else already have a group? I got Thomas's group. Is anyone else in a group that I haven't mentioned? Because I'm going to start adding people into random groups. No?
Did you see it on the chat? Alejandra put a group there.
Yeah, can you just tell it to me? There's a lot in the chat right now.
Yeah, Alejandra, Roger, me, and Alondra.
Hey, so I'm actually part of somebody else's group.
She's the one that I said earlier, the Alejandra Magalone.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was talking about Alejandra S.
Oh, okay.
You know what? You know what? Let's table this because it's getting really, really complicated. I think let's move forward. What we'll do is that we'll move forward with, we're almost done. We'll move forward. If you already have your team, go ahead, shoot each other private messages on how to contact each other. And then if you don't have a team, stick around. And then we can facilitate you finding a team that way. It's much harder with everyone. I had it ready, but again, it wasn't all like based on the form, how I expected. So let's just do that. I don't want to, have you all sitting here. How does that sound? Much easier? Yeah, okay. Let me go ahead, pull this up.
Would you like me to screen share, Nika?
Oh, it's okay. I think that's the last slide.
Yeah, that's the last slide.
Yeah. So did anyone have any questions before we break for today? Obviously, if you don't have a team, please stay on. We'll help you find someone here. Any questions? Do you have, making sure that you have your team's contact information? Okay.
I have a question.
Oh yeah, go
It's
ahead.
not about the project, but the last
Mhm.
time we did the shirts poll, it was 50-50.
Yeah.
Did you know which one you're gonna choose?
We're having a staff meeting to decide. Well, not just to decide, but we're having a staff meeting and we're gonna decide at the staff meeting. Yeah, because we want it to be as fair as possible. But yeah, thanks for bringing it up. All right. If there are no more questions, again, if you still need to find, that was rude, but if you still need to find a partner, go ahead, stay on, and if not, you're free to go. Have a great day, everyone, or whoever is ready to head out.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
You too.
Thank you.
I have a quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
What are the directions for the slide? Like, is there any direct format? Because I was gone like half the meeting because of my Wi-Fi.
For the presentation?
Yeah.
They're on the syllabus, so there's a section that hashed out a little bit more, but generally, it's pretty open. It's kind of left up to your interpretation. We just have, if you do a PowerPoint, just about 7 slides. If you do a like IG story highlight, it's about 10. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah,
Bye.
no problem. So, are all of you still looking for groups?
Yes.
Yes. Do you want to maybe share a little bit about like what topic you're interested in? There's a couple people on here who maybe want to.
I was thinking to do like how to deal with the immigration, like a before and after.
Like before and after immigrating to the United States?
Like abolishing the immigration.
Oh, are you talking about ICE?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, nice. Well, it looks like most people have team members. I don't know if Kenya and Natalia, y'all are looking for a team member.
I just sent you a chat right now.
Okay. Yeah, it's not a big deal. I would just say there wouldn't be like very much work for you all. You know what I mean? Because then it'd be like 2 IG story highlights.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of up to you.
Okay. I'll email you if anything changes.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
No problem. So Diana, it looks like you don't have a team right now. So what I'll do is I'm gonna look at the submissions. I know there's here. Let me see if there's a team. Because of what you told me you're interested in, I'll send you an email letting you know what team you can join that is doing that topic. How about that?
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Awesome. Did you have any questions for me?
No.
No?
I just needed to get in a group. That's
Oh
it.
yeah, no worries. I'll make sure to send that to you. Okay, I'm gonna put a reminder.
Okay, thank you.
Real quick, can you send me your email actually in the chat so I can make sure I have the right person?
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Awesome.
There.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Okay. Thank you, you too.